Hello, everybody. This is Paul Alster at Sportsbet TV, welcoming you along as we look forward to another weekend's racing, some terrific racing this weekend, including the Eclipse Stakes, of course, at Sandown Park, and some other decent stuff as well across the country. As always, I repeat myself for those that are here regularly, but for new subscribers, please press the subscribe button just below this screen. And that way you'll be able to follow all my bulletins as we work our way on into year 3. Yes, we've already gone through 2 years, and I'm happy to say that we're able to show you the statistics over the first 2 years in the description just below this screen. So you can check that out and see what we've been doing and see just how well we've been doing over the course of these seasons and the 2 calendar years that we've covered. Now, of course, we are moving into the midsummer run, and so we're going to be looking forward to next week's, the week after next as well, the July meeting at Newmarket. It's going to be brilliant with the July Cup and other great racing. The John Smith Cup meeting at York, the Irish Oaks, of course, over at the Curragh, the King George VI Queen Elizabeth Stakes, excuse me, at Ascot, and then, of course, the 5 days at the end of the month of glorious Goodwood. So there's a lot to look forward to, and it's only after that that we'll be moving forward to our new service, which we're really excited about, the new live service I mentioned in last week's bulletin, and that'll be kicking off right at the beginning of August. So do bear that in mind, make a note for your diary, where I'll be able to have a live interaction with you on a regular basis. Now, last week wasn't particularly good for us because when the favourites tend to win, we don't. And that was the case. Sense of Duty winning the Chip Chase Stakes at Newcastle, where Glenn Shields looked as if he was a bit long in the tooth, actually. I was a bit disappointed with him. And then, of course, our selection in the Northumberland Plate, finishing mid-division. But the race was all about that remarkable, really remarkable performance of Trushan and Holly Doyle. That was something I never expected. I don't think anybody really did. 10 stone 8, probably the best weight carrying performance of the last generation, up there with the likes of Sea Pigeon in the Ebor and 1 or 2 other great performances. I know Timeform rate it as the best weight carrying performance since Roman Warrior in the mid 1970s. So what Trushan achieved really was exceptional. And we take our hats off to Alan King and to Holly Doyle for a wonderful performance, and in particular to Trushan, who produced an exceptional effort. Well, we have 3 for you this Saturday. I've got a couple of selections at Haydock, and I'm tipping at Sandown, not in the Eclipse, unfortunately, where there are just the 6 runners, even though it's a brilliant race, one to watch, I think, and really savour. I'm going to start off at Haydock in the 205. Now, this is a toughie. It's a 1.75 mile 3-year-olds handicap, 15 runners. The advance going good to soft, although there's plenty of rain forecast for the East Lancs area. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was actual genuine soft ground come the time of the race. Now, there are a load of potential improvers, as always, 3-year-olds this time of the season, especially many of them trying out a new trip, can produce very different performances to those we've seen so far. And of course, a lot of these are going to be tackling softish ground, possibly for the first time. And that could have a very big effect on how they perform as well. Now, the horse that's getting everybody interested here is Sir Mark Prescott's runner, Sea King. Now, those of you that follow racing regularly will know that Sir Mark Prescott is the absolute master of placing horses in handicaps. And although he doesn't have the stable strength he used to have, when he gets one that's capable, he can still place them to advantage, and they often run up a sequence. And this Sea King won on his first turf handicap at Doncaster over 1.5 miles in April. That was on good to firm ground, but there's nothing in his pedigree that suggests he won't handle softish ground. And when you look back to his 2-year-old career, he finished third to none other than Westover, who of course was an unlucky third in the Derby and went on to absolutely romp up in the Irish Derby just the other week. So although he's gone up £9 for that Doncaster win, Sea King is one very much to fear. But he is 3-1 favourite in a 15-runner hot handicap, and he doesn't represent value to my way of thinking. But it would not surprise me in the slightest if he goes and wins well. I'm looking for value, And amongst the horses to consider against him are those from the Red Hot William Haggas stable. Now, William Haggas is just proving an absolute superstar this season. His strike rate is remarkable, really, and he's got a couple in this race. He's got Nathaniel Green, who's got the first-time cheap pieces on, so that could help his cause. He was second at Goodwood 2 weeks ago. Interesting to see how he goes on this ground. It may help. And then we've got Hello Jumeirah, who's having his first handicap run and is off 84. He was second over very nearly a mile and a half at Haydock in a novice stakes last time. So two interesting runners for William Haggas. And then Andrew Balding has Her Majesty the Queen's Duty Bound. Now, this one won really quite nicely, first time in a handicap, over a mile and 3/4, so the trip is no problem. It won at Sandown, but it was on good to firm ground. There's every reason to believe that he should handle the ground, though, having run perfectly well when third in a soft ground maiden at the back end of last season. He's gone up £5, but is by no means without a chance. Now, at Goodwood on June the 10th, Double Cherry beat a horse called Percy Jones by 3 lengths over a mile and a half in soft ground. So we know the pair go on soft ground and they engage this time. They're taking each other on again with Percy Jones, trained by Hughie Morrison, now £7 better off for those 3 lengths. But I have to say that I thought that the winner looked a real strong stayer the way he came home in the ground. And I fancy him to confirm the form over this longer trip, the extra 2 furlongs. So despite being worse off at the weights, my selection in this event each way is Double Cherry, trained by Tom Ward, young trainer on the up, and the man of Jim Crowley, who's a top jockey who seems to stay at a very high level year in, year out. Now, Double Cherry was having his first run in a handicap, seemed to love the soft ground. And I thought he was going away at the finish at Goodwood because I thought Percy Jones had his chance to get to him, but having got within striking distance, he couldn't get by, and Double Cherry lengthened away again. And I just think the extra 2 furlongs is really going to be right up his street. Now, it has gone up £9, of course, and relative to Percy Jones, he's £7 worse off. But I think he's going to go really well. And it would be no surprise to me to see Double Cherry prove to be the biggest danger to Sea King. Of course, I'd love to see Double Cherry win. But if he doesn't, then a place would certainly cover the expenses. And he looks the each way value against the favourite at 9-1 each way at the time of this recording on Friday late morning. 4 places offered with bet 365. And that is 9-1 each way. Double Cherry for me in the Haydock 205. Now, my second choice at Haydock is a really tough race. The 3:15, it comes after the Lancashire Oaks, which in itself looks a good race. It's the 1.5 mile Old Newton Cup handicap, 17 runners on the softish ground. Due off 3:15. They've already reported that Godolphin's Trawler Man is not going to run. So he's out. He would have had a chance as well. But rather like the previous race at Haydock, this race revolves really around one horse, whether he runs up to form or exceeds previous performances, and that is Garci, trained by William Haggas. This one is 13-8 favourite in this 17-runner handicap. Now, the reason is that he's one of the leading fancies for the Ebor, and that comes on the back of him winning his last 4 starts, including his first start in a handicap, which came last time out at York in May off 94, where despite still looking a bit green and running around a bit, hanging to his left, he won in really good fashion. Now, as the old saying says, this could be a group horse disguised as a handicapper. We know that William Haggas can progress them through handicaps to top pattern races, and Garci has the pedigree certainly to be going that direction. But this is asking a lot to beat some really tough handicappers. If he beats them and beats them well, then he's going to be a short prize for the Ebor. So you might want to consider, if you're in the Garci camp, having a few bob on for the Ebor before he runs here, because if he wins, there'll be no prize at all. Personally, I don't want to get involved, and I wouldn't get involved at 13-8, even though he's only gone up £7 for that good York win. Now, against him, there are so many with chances, and on the short list, Kevin Philippard of Fay's Liverpool Knight, who won really well on his debut for the stable at Windsor on soft ground. That was his first run of 2022, and there could be more to come from him despite going up £6. Now, one horse who loves the soft ground is Richard Hughes's Brentford Hope, who in this ground has run well in the continent in Group 2 and Group 3 races. And he's got his right conditions. It's been a while since he's had his proper conditions in this country, but he has no easy task with a big weight, but wouldn't surprise me to see him go well. One that's at the other end of the scale is the lightly weighted Secret Shadow for Andrew Balding, who was a close third on his reappearance at Goodwood. That was 6 weeks ago. He stays, likes the grounds, got Hayley Turner on board. And then you've got the Royal Ascot winner of a couple of weeks ago, Get Shirty, for David O'Mara, and this one just keeps defying the handicapper, up and up and up and up, and yet it still keeps winning. Well, it's gone up another £6 for that win, but again, another who can't be ruled out. Now, Mark Johnston has won this race 3 times in the last 9 years. Of course, he trains on the licence now with his son Charlie. It's hard to fancy, to be honest. His Love is Golden. I was trying to find a way of making a case for it. You know, I like the big priced outsiders, but I can't. But his Franchise, who won really well at Pontefract last time out and has only gone up £3, is one with a chance, although it isn't really proven on this ground. Now, there are plenty more in with a shout, but I'm hoping that Alan King, who sprung that brilliant handicap training performance with Trushan last weekend, can do the same this weekend with another 8-year-old, with an older horse, this time an 8-year-old, and that is On to Victory, who runs for Henry Ponsonby, is trained by Alan King, and once again is the mount of Jim Crowley, who I'm fancying to have a rather good day at Haydock this Saturday. Now, he's my each-way choice. He has been a grand servant to connections on the flat and over jumps. His last flat win came in the November handicap of 2020 at Doncaster in soft ground over 1.5 miles, his optimum conditions, and that was off 99, and he runs today off a £2 lower mark. So the more rain the better, I would say, for On to Victory. Last year he was a very good second to the Smart Hookham in listed company over 1.5 miles in soft ground, and I thought he ran a really promising first race of the season back off a 5-month layoff, and that was 5 months ago. And that was after starting really slowly and losing 10 lengths. Now, there is a warning here because On to Victory is not a quick starter from the stalls. He nearly always jumps out last. As long as he jumps out last, but only a length or two behind the main body of the field, it's okay. But if he does what he did at York last time, we'll know straight away we're on a rather sticky wicket. But the thing about him last time out was that he stayed on really well. In the end, only beaten 8 lengths by none other than Garci. Now, remember, he gave Garci a 10-length start, and he's actually got a £10 pull with him now. So if he jumps off anything like on terms, On to Victory, I think he's going to be a danger to Garci if he gets a bit of luck in running, because he's a horse who sets off at the back of the field and then has to weave his way through. But when it comes to weavers, I think there are a few better than Jim Crowley, and I'm hoping that On to Victory can get out of the stalls and run a good race for us. And he is offered at the time of this recording at 25 to 1 each way, of course, 6 places, and that is with both Sky Bet and William Hills. So On to Victory. Let's hope Jim gets a really firm hold of him and launches him out of the stalls, and then I can see him running a good race in the Old Newton Cup, the Haydock 315. And then my final choice, well, this is at Sandown, where, of course, it is Eclipse Day. You've got the Coral Charge as well. The Distaff is an interesting race too. But I like the look of this 1.25 mile handicap at Sandown 410. There are 15 runners on what is expected to be good ground, and it is an open affair. They're betting 7 to 2 the field, with Martin Meads chairman, the market leader with all firms. This one has won at Bath most recently in a 5-runner handicap. It's gone up £7 for a Bath victory. This is much tougher. I'm not convinced, I have to say, by chairman. Electrical Storm, interesting for Saeed bin Saror, was off 18 months, clearly had problems, and then won first time out after 18 months at York 3 weeks ago, and it won easily over 9 furlongs. It's gone up £9. Is it going to build on that, or could it bounce? You know, that bounce effect when horses have been off quite a long time and then have two relatively quick races, they often don't produce it on the second run. But I do think Electrical Storm is dangerous, especially if there's any market support for it. Now, Mark Johnston's Forest Falcon won the Zetland Gold Cup at Redcar over 1.25 miles last time out, has gone up £6 and has 10 stone 2 to carry. But really interesting to see that Mark Johnston has booked Ryan Moore to ride Forest Falcon, and that could be pretty much a tip in itself. And then you've got one who's a little bit below the radar called Aquam. It's had 3 runs in, I think it's maidens and novice stakes. This is its first run in a handicap. It's trained by Ian Williams, who I have to say wouldn't be one of my favourite trainers, even though he does pretty well, but somehow I can never work his mind out at all. But this one is by See the Stars out of a Dubawi mare, really well bred. And it moves up from 7 furlongs to 10 furlongs as it makes its handicap bow. That's always, for me, an interesting pointer. I'd say another one to watch the market for. And it's the similar story for George Baker's Le Forban, who's won its last 2 starts on the all-weather. In between, it was beaten on the turf, but it is progressive on the all-weather and was particularly impressive last time out at Linkfield, going up £7 for it. There's also William Haggis's ex-Irish horse making its debut for the yard, Protagonist. First time out for the stable, and again, any market support for Protagonist would be worth an interest. But my choice is Yorkshire Lady. Plenty of those, of course, plenty of ladies in Yorkshire. This one trained by somebody who wouldn't often be referred to as a gentleman. That is Mick Easterby, trains now with his son David, and his granddaughter Joanna Mason rides, and she is a tremendous jockey. She's right up there with the best female jockeys, you know, Hayley Turner, Holly Doyle. I think Joanna Mason is a really tremendous rider. Now, can grandfather and granddaughter do it? 91 years young, Mick Easterby. Nowadays, he's seen it all and done it all as well, believe me. Now, this Yorkshire Lady did really well for the yard last season. She was a very progressive 3-year-old. She won at Sandown, so we know she likes the track. She won over 9 furlongs off a mark of 75. She was ridden by Joanna on that occasion. And then she won really nicely at Haydock over 1.25 miles off 81, before they decided to try and nick a bit of black type over in France at the end of the season. But it was heavy ground, which wouldn't have ideally suited her. She still ran well to be 5th of 11 at Saint Cloud in October. And that was the last time we saw her. So she's been given plenty of time to get over her exertions. Mick's horses are running pretty well at the moment. They had a double at Pontefract, including a 28-1 chance ridden by Joanna. And I noted that Yorkshire Lady was only beaten a length on her seasonal debut last year. So she should be a horse that they can get reasonably fit. Now, I've got a bit of a theory about this filly. She's in the John Smith's Cup, the Magnet Cup at York in a week or two's time, but she's fairly low down the weights and they need a penalty in order to have a sporting chance of getting in. Now, Mick Easterby would love nothing more than to win the John Smith's Magnet Cup, not just because it's big prize money, but because it's on his home territory. He loves a York winner. We remember him dancing when he won the Gimcrack and all the rest of it. And I think the old Shrewdy has thought to himself, he has to try and get a win into this filly to pick up a penalty to get into the Magnet Cup. And I think he's seen a chance that he could do it. And he's sending this one all the way down to Sandown. Joanna could have ridden at Beverley, where I very nearly tipped one that she's riding. But I think they really are very hopeful about Yorkshire Lady. And of course, the 200,000 quid prize money at York, that has to be of some interest to Mick Easterby, of course. Anyway, the odds at the time of this recording across the board, 1-4, 14-1 with all firms, and that's for 4 places. I'm expecting Yorkshire Lady to be given a proper ride, and I'm expecting that she will go close in that Sandown 410 for spitting Mick Easterby and his granddaughter, who he absolutely adores. He absolutely makes no secret of it, Joanna Mason. So that's my final choice for this Saturday. 3 of them there for you. Combine them how you will. Ignore them if you want. I'll be doing an each way patent on the 3. Just one more thing I wanted to very quickly mention is that I slipped up last weekend because I didn't include in my tips for you a tip on Sunday, because I thought it would be best focusing on the Saturday. And that would have been La Petite Coco, a horse that I've been talking up all last season. I just could not believe in the end the price she went off. I thought she'd be about 7-2, 3-1. She went off 9-1 for the Group 1 Pretty Polly Stakes on Sunday, and she won in really good style. First time out over a trip that's a little bit short of her best, the 1.25 miles. Now, I've already backed her for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and I haven't these days done many each-way bets. I rarely do each-way now. And I do think that La Petite Coco is a horse who continues to be underestimated. And wherever she goes, I'll be backing her for the rest of the season because I think she's a tremendous filly. And fillies in the autumn at Longchamp will do really well. So hold my hands up. Apologies that I didn't put up La Petite Coco. But hopefully one or two of you picked up on the fact last season that I was very, very sweet on her. Anyway, that's it for this weekend. I'll be back with more same time next week. Best of luck. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Paul Alster signing off from Sportsbet for this week. Bye-bye.